Go. This could decide the game.
4th and goal. And they're going to snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles, touchdown.
What a pass to MB! My goodness! Posterizes Baines and the foul!
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss! Struck him out! The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Phaithful Phanatics show, brought to you by DSM Media. I am one half of your host here, Dylan Davis. You can give me a follow on Twitter at DylanJD98. My co-host to my right, Matt McGinty, Coach Gint. Give him a follow on Twitter at Matt_McGinty. We had the week off last week because I was propped up on a beach, Gint. I took the week off. You got a week off, but we're back. We're better than ever. And now summer's coming to a close shortly. I got no more vacations planned. And it's full steam ahead, and the Eagles are full steam ahead. And while we have a packed show, Phillies, Sixers Summer League to get into, we're starting right here, giving you the Birds. Eagles preseason game number 1 in the books as they lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but that's okay. Meaningless, glorified practice, we can call it. And there were some goods, there were some bads, but let's start with the goods again. First of all, how are you? How have you been? Feel like I haven't talked to you in like 5 years.
Yeah, Been hopping off the phone a little bit, getting the screen time down. Been enjoying summer a little bit. Still working a ton, obviously, coaching still. But I've been good. I'm excited to definitely get back into it. I've been watching a ton of baseball still. I can credit you to that one and George to that one, but it's been good. Preseason football is in full swing. Fantasy season's in full swing. Got a fall basketball league coming up. It's still busy, but I'm excited to get back on.
You're not retired yet? You
No.
didn't retire from coaching yet? Didn't hang up those shoes?
Nah.
No. All right. Well, anyway, let's start with the Eagles, and let's just go through what we saw on last Thursday night's first preseason game and kind of what the rumors are coming out of the joint practice and the reports coming out of the joint practice versus the Patriots today. Obviously, a lot more exciting getting game competition or practice competition against other opponents and not just Eagles offense versus Eagles defense. A lot more, excitement from a fan's point of view, and you learn a little bit more about these guys. But Gint, let's start with the guy at the bottom of our screen, Mr. Jalen Hurts. He only played 2 possessions on Thursday night, led 2 scoring drives. They got 2 field goals on the first 2 possessions of the game. And I guess what I'll say, I said it to Scotty yesterday, I'll say it to you guys here today. To me, Jalen Hurts performed better than what the box score showed. So he was 3 for 7. I think he 54 yards. He did have 2 drops, so he would have been 5 for 7. I think he only had 1 carry for 4 yards on a broken play or whatever. So he wasn't trying to use his legs yet in the preseason. But I think he performed better than the box score showed because some of the things that I liked from what I seen from him were things that I was looking for him to improve in as a quarterback this offseason, meaning he had 2 throws that really stuck out to me. There was a Dallas Goedert throw to the right side of the field for first down. I think it was like a 30 or 40-yard gain. Then he had another nice throw towards the sideline to Jalen Reagor for a big game. He relied on his tight end. Zach Ertz had a bunch of targets. Dallas Goedert had a bunch of targets. He looked for Quez Watkins deep one time and just overthrew him for what would have been a 99-yard touchdown. But also he had poise. Dude, it was only 2 drives, but he didn't leave the pocket too early. He let plays develop. He let his receivers get into their routes. He didn't try, he didn't sense a little bit of pressure and ducked out of there and tried to scramble. He stayed in there until he had to move the pocket. And those were just little things that I was looking for him to progress with as a passer this summer. And from the first game, I kind of saw that within 2 possessions.
Yeah, I agree. You and I have kind of been on the same page with Jalen Hurts since he was drafted 2 years ago now. But
yeah,
And it started out a little rocky, but I'll tell you what. And I was talking to JD, our boy over at DSM, and I was saying I was so against this new regime of these young kids that were ready to move on.
It kind of winning me over, dude.
Oh, dude, that first preseason game when Quez ran for that bomb of a touchdown, and they all were going nuts. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool, actually. But yeah, everything you mentioned about Jalen Hurts is right. He did show a lot of poise, and that was our biggest thing with him is not, oh my god, let me just get out of here. So I think that's the biggest thing. And then a guy I was going to bring up right away, who he's number one on my notes, dude, Alex Singleton, man. I like him. I really do. There was a couple plays, and the announcers always highlight him. It's probably because he's got long hair, he sticks out. But man, that dude is just a hard nose. He really is.
He flies all over the field, dude. Like, with some defensive backs, they just say they're always around the ball. He's got a nose for the ball. He's always in the mix within a tackle or a rush or whatever it is. So I like that. I wasn't thinking Alex Singleton was going to be your star so far, but I like it. Scotty said.
Obviously had Quez Watkins up there too.
Oh, yeah. And we'll get to Quez.
I mean, that dude's just fast as lightning.
For sure. We'll get to Quez in a little bit, but yeah, man, the Jalen Hurts thing and the young guys point, like, I think that was that was their fault, but it was our fault as well. I think, we didn't like kind of just how they went about things, their attitude, it seemed like on social media. Jalen Reagor, it was a first-year wide receiver who was banged up, didn't produce a lot, and he just, kind of talked some shit on social media. It seemed like I didn't like the way he carried himself. Miles Sanders was the same way. I wasn't buying into the 7th round Quez Watkins pick, all that hype when he took one screen to the house against the Cardinals last year. I wasn't buying into it. I didn't like it. Like you said, that was my fault. They're winning me over slowly but surely. Jalen Reagor has looked good throughout camp so far, has looked good in the preseason game with a couple clean as a route runner, not just using his speed and his athleticism as a route runner. He's ran a couple nice routes in training camp and in that preseason game so far. I'm buying in, dude. I am. But just to finish up with Jalen Hurts, like you said, the game, I liked what I saw throughout the first 2 possessions. But then what does he do? He comes out in practice today as well, Gint. I think it was ESP. In the 12-on-12s, he was 16 for 17 with 1 touchdown, and the 1 incompletion was a drop. Now, I know the reports came out that he threw 2 or 3 interceptions on 7-on-7s versus the Patriots today, but those interceptions were drops by the Eagles, meaning he hit Zach Ertz and then Kenny Gainwell right in the hands, and it went into a Patriots defender's hands and went the other way. So Jalen Hurts just continues to progress as a passer. He continues to get better every day. I said this to Phil last week. You can only ask for him to grow each and every day, right? So not only am I hearing that from Monday to Tuesday he's better, and Tuesday to Wednesday he's better, but throughout the practices that day he's getting better. If he starts slow, he heats up throughout practice, and that's just one thing you love to hear. My boy Zach Miller from KU, what is going on? And Scotty says, damn, guys, heart back to Nola. Oh, that's a gut punch for Gant. That's a gut. Any words? I know we're talking about the Eagles, but any words on Josh Hart?
But I mean, I'm glad he got some money, because if he got nothing and went somewhere else and the Sixers weren't all over it, I would have been really upset. So at least he got 3 years, 38. It's a good.
Concerned with Miles drops. Yeah, I mean, it's a concern. I don't expect it. I hope I don't have to see it in the regular season too much. I don't really expect him to suit up in the preseason. Honestly, maybe this game, if at all. But no, I think he'll clean it up. And to my last point on the young guys kind of winning me over again, that was kind of just like a culture shock, I feel like last year. Like last year, the environment, the locker room, the culture of that locker room, it was off. So I give them the benefit of the doubt now, seeing how kind of this new regime has come in, this young leadership, it's kind of rejuvenated this locker room. And now the young guys are responding differently. They're playing differently so far. And that's the only thing I can ask for. So yeah, I'm done, not bashing Jalen Reagor, but just, putting down Jalen Reagor or Miles Sanders for that kind of stuff. But anything else with Jalen Hurts today, he looked great again, as I said, against the Patriots.
No, not really. Definitely want to touch up on the Jalen Mills report that came out. I don't know if I look at the Eagles roster and the first guy that I'm shoving in the back is Jordan Mailata, but I can't believe that's what I read today. That is Ask him first.
I saw that report. First of all, like you said, what the hell goes through your mind that you're Jalen Mills? What's Jalen Mills? He's 5'10", 5'11".
Not Jordan Mailata size.
Probably like 160 pounds soaking wet. And he shoves Jordan. Now, I don't know what the shove was like. We don't know if it was, a little playful, if it was just competition, whatever it was, if it was a cheap shot. I don't know. Apparently, Jalen Reagor had some words for Jalen Mills after that. But yeah, Jordan Mailata ain't the first dude. Jordan, not only is he not the first dude, Jordan Mailata is the last guy you look at on that Eagles roster and you say, I'm going after him. That's the guy. Like Lane, I'll take Lane before I take Jordan Mailata, Brandon Brooks, Jason, any of them. Fletch. Jordan Mailata is like the last dude I look at and say, I'm gonna shove him in the back when he's not looking. So yeah, whatever. Stupid little training camp stuff that Jalen Mills brought to Philadelphia. But and just the other thing, like from notes from today, apparently the energy on the Eagles sideline was much higher than energy on the Patriots sideline. When the reports came out after practice that the Eagles dominated both sides of the ball or won on both sides of the ball today, I was like, holy, our team? This Eagles team, and it made, you know what? I want to give credit to another guy that I was kind of putting down in the offseason, and Nick Sirianni. Maybe that competitive spirit, that competitive, environment that he's trying to put together within this group, maybe it's working already. You see it with the guys. You see it like even in the preseason game, dude. Then they seem to click like early, like they just seem well put together, if that makes sense.
I think the biggest thing with this Eagles team is just the expectations. And when you play football in Philadelphia, usually you always have high expectations. I don't know if the expectations are that high this year just because of the whole new regime that's there. And I think like they sense that there's not a ton of expectations and maybe they're a little
pissed off.
A little pissed off by it, hurt by it, saying like, why aren't we getting held to the standard that every team it feels like always gets held to that standard? So maybe they're looking to give Philadelphia a piece of their
I agree. I hope so. And I don't want that underdog mentality. It was fun. I spoke on that last year with you when everyone, like, it just seemed ever since that Super Bowl run, every year we tried to find that story. Carson gets hurt. This person gets hurt. This happens to us. And underdogs bring out the mask. I'm tired of it. Great teams, great organizations don't need that. It was fun for the Super Bowl run. It was awesome, obviously. I don't need it anymore. So, yeah, I don't want that underdog mentality. Everyone's counting us out of this division already, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, a little chip on my shoulder. Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, Jalen Reagor, Darius Slay, everybody from the veterans. Because think about it, dude, it's not just the young guys that have something to prove. People had bashed Darius Slay last year. I'm not one of those people. I thought he was spectacular outside of 3 games last year. But people put him down. Fletcher Cox, is it time for him to hang it up? And we're going to get to another guy who people bashed all of last year, and they continue to bash, and I'm done. I'm not putting it up with it any longer. We'll get to him in just a few minutes.
Don't say the kicker.
No. Not Jake the Snake, bro. Come on now. Another guy. But another standout from Thursday night and then a standout today has been Quez Watkins. Again, I wasn't buying into it. Even I heard rumors like people break out Quez Watkins season, and I just laughed at it on Twitter this offseason.
Dude,
yes, sir.
Is that who it is?
Yeah.
You must have talked to him about that one, which I figured. But, I mean, let's just get into him because he was brought up, and we'll talk about – or do you want to talk about Quez or him? Your choice.
All right, we'll start with Zach because I'm done with the slander. I'm done with it, okay? Because people wanted him gone before last season, and, yeah, he was awful last year. The whole team was awful. Okay, well, he quit on the team. His body language, arguments with Howie, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, horrible for the atmosphere and the environment and the culture of this team. He's still a leader. He's the best leader you got on the offensive side of the ball because all your skill position players are super, super young, okay? He's a reliable option, a target for Jalen Hurts over the middle of the field when plays break down or just a security blanket that he's going to need. And someone brought it up earlier. I think it was Scotty. Look, I know him and Carson were boys, but maybe them, two not having that pity party together anymore. Carson shipped out of here. He doesn't have a pity partner anymore. His head's out of his ass. He wanted Travis Kelce, George Kittle-esque money last year. He was nowhere near deserving of it. But before last year, Zach Ertz was a top 5 tight end in this league. And I think I'm not saying he's still top 5, but Zach Ertz is still a top 8 to 10 tight end in this league. And for the people that just wanted him cut because he gave up on the team last year, the entire team gave up last year. The entire team sucked. Do you guys not remember them literally throwing the game in week 17? Everybody threw it last year. So miss me with that. Zach Ertz has had himself a hell of a camp. I know he had a drop today, apparently, for an interception. He had a drop on it for a third down conversion in the preseason game. He has had a hell of a camp. And clearly, it's showing because Jalen Hurts targeted him about 4 times in the 2 series that they played together on Thursday night. So miss me with the Zach Ertz slander. And guess what, guys? If Zach Ertz is on this roster this year, Zach Ertz is tight end number 1. Bottom line, point blank period. He's tight end number 1.
That's tough because, again, how much will they be on the field together is a huge question.
I don't think they're going to play a lot of 2 tight end sets.
So you think he'll get most of the time?
I think it's going to be as close to 50-50 as it can be. I'm not saying that's a great thing because obviously you want them to get into a rhythm, but when you have 2 dynamic tight ends like you do, listen, if Zach Ertz wasn't here, Dallas Goedert's tight end number 1. I'm not even saying that Dallas Goedert at this point in their careers isn't a better option than Zach Ertz from a talent standpoint or a physical standpoint. But if Zach Ertz is on this roster, Zach Ertz ain't here to be tight end number 2. I'm just telling you, that's how I feel. He's not at tight end number 2 if he's on this roster on opening day. And to my point, you can say whatever you want about how he played last year. Clearly, there is some sort of chemistry between him and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. I don't know if it's much chemistry as how good Zach Ertz is. And I'm not sitting here proclaiming he's back to what he was. He's not a top 5 tight end like he was, but you don't go from being a top 5 tight end to a guy that just gets cut off a roster. It doesn't happen.
Especially when he's what? How old is Zach Ertz? Like 29, 30 years old?
Probably around there.
So let's say he's not Gronk. Gronk's still young, but you get my point. He's not Delaney Walker when Delaney Walker was still trying to play for the Tennessee Titans. Okay, he's not that. He's like around his 30. He's around 30 years old. He's a top tight end. He's a top 10 tight end, and Jalen Hurts clearly found a liking to him. Not saying that he doesn't have a liking to Dallas Goedert. I already mentioned how they hooked up for a 40-yard completion on Thursday night. But Nick Sirianni's going to find a way to utilize both of these tight ends. And why wouldn't you? That was my whole point. You can't just cut Zach Ertz like some people alluded to or wanted to this offseason. Back to the young guys. Quez Watkins stood out with a 79-yard touchdown on Thursday night, Gint, albeit a screen pass from Joe Flacco, set up by some nice blocks on the outside. But that dude has some afterburners.
Yeah. He can move. And that was the first thing I texted you right when I saw it. I was like, put out a little notepad emoji. I said, Quez can run. If you look at the personnel, dude, we got, just guys that can move. Devontae Smith can move. Jalen Reagor can move. Quez Watkins can obviously move. So, these guys can be really fun if it works. Jalen Hurts can move. It's going to be fun. And, again, Miles Sanders, you got to hope he takes some sort of step. But now the reports are that Jordan Howard's going to make the roster and Kerryon Johnson might not even make the roster, which is super surprising because I was kind of excited for Kerryon Johnson. Go ahead.
No, so was I, but that injury now is really going to play a factor into, him not making this roster. And also, Jordan Howard brings a different style of running back to that room that Kerryon Johnson would. They already have Sanders, Gainwell. If they keep Boston Scott, Jordan Howard provides that punch, that power style running back, that goal line, 3rd and short, 4th and short type of running back. Not you put in like Doug would put in Darren Sproles or Boston Scott and on a 4th and 1. No, you put in Jordan Howard and let him punch you in the mouth to get half a yard. He provides a different style of running back than Kerryon would. Now with the Kerryon Johnson injury, I think Jordan Howard's going to make this team over him. Especially, I just think it said something. The fact that obviously they held Miles out, the fact that Jordan Howard was the starter, and then there's also a factor of, can he pass protect? Can he pick up a blitz? And you saw that on the first possession on Thursday night because he laid that linebacker or safety or whoever it was that came through the gap on his ass. So he could, if Boston Scott or if Kenny Gainwell or Miles Sanders, not the best, running back, blitz pickup, pass protector, then Jordan Howard also found a role with him in the team there. Just the last thing, like you said, like Quez is fast, and it just brings another dynamic to this team. The thing with the 3 wide receivers and Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, and Quez Watkins is you can throw, like Scotty says here, I'm of the belief that the depth chart won't mean much to Sirianni. I think that's true. I know he's alluding to Zach Ertz being tight end number 1 or whatever. He's going to use both of them. But when I bring it to this receiving room, I'm saying those 3 wide receivers throw positions out the window. Meaning throw outside, slot, X, Y, Z, whatever you want to call them, throw that out the window because all 3 can play on the outside. All 3 can play in the slot. All 3 can get the balls in their hands and make plays. All 3 can beat you on a go route. That's why this dynamic can be so much fun. Again, it's one preseason game. It's a couple weeks of a training camp and a joint practice with the Patriots, but all reports and all signs point to Quez Watkins being a top receiver, one of the top 3 receivers on this team at the start of the year. And what I'll say to you here again is, should he be? Obviously, I think we know where the answer is going, but I asked that because outside of Devontae Smith, who is obviously kind of already sketched his role in at wide receiver number 1 because he was the 10th overall pick, Heisman Trophy winner. He's the best wide receiver on the team. Even though he hasn't proven anything, he's already wide receiver number 1. Outside of that, in this wide receiving room, no one has proven or that they deserve a spot. You get what I'm saying? So when the question was, okay, well, who makes the roster? It's all up for grabs after Devontae Smith. Obviously, Jalen Reagor is making the roster, but Jalen Reagor has done nothing so far in year number 1 to solidify his role as wide receiver number 2. Travis Fulgham, J-Jaw, Greg Ward, John Hightower, all of them. So Quez Watkins has grasped this opportunity, and he's freaking ran with it. And he's going to be a top 3 He's going to be a top 3 wide receiver on this Eagles team week 1. I'm already saying it.
Yeah, you'd have to figure who's after that. It's J-Jaw,
Fulgham.
Oh yeah, and Hightower, right?
That's why Hightower being hurt. Well, he's back now, but he was hurt. And the issue is you're going to need a few, at least 2 possession type receivers, 2 bigger wide receivers. You would think maybe they throw all that out the window. But when you look at Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, and Quez Watkins' style, when you look at their body types, their speed, everything like that, that's why I think Fulgham has a spot on this roster. I don't know if Greg Ward does anymore. He's a small receiver, but he's a possession receiver. That's why people are making the argument for J-Jaw. John Hightower might have found himself on the practice squad or cut from this team because of injury and because of where does he fit?
Yeah. I just don't know how J-Jaw makes this roster again. I really don't. But it seems like he's going to. The other night he had as many tackles as targets.
Yeah, he had 1 target for 0 catches and a tackle.
Dude, man, I just can't fathom the.
And then hold on, and then I have people George and Phil in my damn mentions today after one of the beat reporters wrote that he absolutely burned a Patriots defensive back, got wide open for a reception. And they're like, don't sleep on oh my God. I'm like, did he even get targeted Thursday night?
George loves every bad player that's continuously bad. J-Jaw sucks. He always has. Vincent Velasquez stinks. He always has. Dude, like George.
No, not that George. George, that watches our shows all the time. Not George Ryder. But that is also George Ryder.
Dude, because George Ryder was on that train, man. Jeez Louise.
He loves Vince Velasquez. He loved Nick Pavetta too.
Dude, yeah. Vince Velasquez got a change up. The change up just ends 400.
I'm pretty sure he liked Roman Quinn and Adam Hazley too.
Man. Is Adam Hazley alive? Sorry,
I don't know. I don't know. Scotty says only way he makes the team is because of special teams. Yeah. Okay. I know. I just hate that though. And then outside of that, you already said it again. Before we wrap up the Eagles segment, this offense just has the potential to be a lot of fun. And I think after one preseason game, I'm not trying to get overly excited, but they have a ton of speed and a ton of guys where they can beat you in multiple ways where, Quez Watkins, we've seen him, torch someone on Thursday night, which Jalen Hurts just overthrew him for a 99-yard touchdown. He beat J.C. Jackson for a 40-yard touchdown today in the joint practice. So he can beat you like that. Devontae Smith can beat you like that. Jalen Reagor can beat you like that. But they can also just get the ball in their hands and make plays. Kenny Gainwell can get the ball in his hands and make plays. Miles Sanders behind this offensive line. Health is obviously the number one issue with this offense. If Brandon Brooks stays healthy, if Jason Kelce, if Lane Johnson, if Jordan Mailata, if they all stay healthy, this what do we call it? Again, a top 5 offensive line, I would assume, if healthy.
Yeah, and like in terms of depth as well. Like overall,
so you have to figure a deep top 5 defensive line with a dual threat quarterback, with a running back room of, let's just say, Sanders and Gainwell, we'll just call it because those are the 2 most exciting to me. And obviously Miles is the starter, with Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert over the middle of the field, with all the speed on the outside in the wide receiving group that we already named, with Sirianni's hopeful, entertaining, fun new, playbook, fun new scheme. This offense has the potential to be a lot of freaking fun. And that's what I loved, especially because he didn't even open up the playbook. He's already said, we're not showing a goddamn thing in preseason. Atlanta's not going to know anything they're running going into week 1. So the fact that it was so plain, they only scored 16 points. There was only one fun play, but I just enjoyed a lot of what I saw in the first half for the Eagles in that preseason game. And that's where I'll leave it. I just think they can be a lot of fun. And I think this defense, I'm already talking myself into believing in the Eagles more than I probably should, because I think this offense could be a top 10 offense. They're going to be a lot of fun. And this defense, I think, can surprise the hell out of us with the additions. Remember a couple weeks ago, not a couple weeks ago, but 2 months ago, before the Steven Nelson signing, all that, and we were sitting here, we were scared to death about this Eagles team because what? We thought the defense was going to get shelled for like 30 points a game, right? Now, on paper at least, they could be pretty damn good again, because you have a top probably 5 defensive line that's going to be up there in this as the sack leaders in the NFL. You finally have a secondary. You have a number 2 corner across from Darius Slay. And Harris laid a lick on somebody on the first possession at safety. If Rodney McLeod's healthy, you have 2 good safeties with 2 good corners. You already mentioned one linebacker. Eric Wilson had an interception today. Davion Taylor was shining early. If the linebackers don't absolutely kill you, this defense could be pretty damn good as well. So we're 1 preseason game in, and I'm already talking myself into this team might win the division.
No, we're not going to by any means. But I'm more in that I can be a little bit more invested. I felt like at the end of last football season, I was like, dude, I don't think I can even get invested in this team next year.
Well, that's how I was.
I remember, you and I were like, who do we even like at this point? But now it's like the new regime looks fun, and maybe that's all we need is a little bit of fun this year after last year.
I think that's just be fun and be competitive, and that's all I ask for, honestly. But moving on, Gin, is there anything else you want to touch on as far as the Eagles' first preseason game goes? Are you looking for anything? Well, we can get into that later in the week. This Patriots matchup on Thursday. But is there anything else you saw or read today out of camp that you want to get into?
No, I just had to bring up that Jalen Mills thing. That was my biggest point.
You're such an idiot. He gets on. He goes, dude, how about Jalen Mills? Oh man. All right, moving on to the Phillies. Again, where do I start? Because I'm still in on the Phillies. I still think they're going to win the division simply because their schedule is that bad and that dreadful coming up, and for the rest of the season, as a matter of fact. But as quickly as the Phillies took over first place, they lost it. They're only a game out behind Atlanta now. The Mets slid down to third place. But my God, as quickly as they took over the NL East, they lost the lead in the NL East. And why is that, Gint? What plays a big component in that? Well,
I got you.
What's up?
I thought it was a two.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
It was a 2-word answer.
Go ahead.
No, I assumed you were going to go the Aaron Nola route with this.
Oh, that's my answer. But I was going to say, after the Mets series, the bats did disappear up until the other day. The bats were dreadful in the Dodger series and for game 1 of the Red series, and they finally came alive in game 2 against the Reds this weekend. However, Aaron Nola I don't even know where to start with him, Gint.
Bro,
I don't even know where to freaking start with him. He's turning, I said it on Time and Talk earlier to Georgia and Jeremy. He's turning in the Furcon.
Furcon.
Hold on. I'm not talking about dislikability. I'm not talking about likability. For every one good Aaron Nola start, you get 4 or 5 shitty Aaron Nola starts. Just like Furcon Korkmaz. You get one good Furcon game, you get 11 bad games. And that's what he's turning into in a smaller sample size. Because, dude, I can't put it together with him. Forget the ace conversation. We clearly know he's not an ace anymore. 2017 Aaron Nola has long left the building. But a number 2, again, he's not even pitching like a number 3 on this team. Dude, he's like, what's his record? He's like 6-8 now, 6-9 with like a 6 ERA. He can't get past 5 innings.
No, he has been really bad. But he got shafted out of that Dodgers game.
All right, exactly. There's the one good game.
Untouchable.
There's the one good game.
Well, wasn't the start before that really good too?
I don't think so.
I could be wrong.
He had a good start, and I remember he got shelled, and we were like, just when you think Aaron Nola's back, here comes, here he rears his ugly head. Then he has the Dodgers start, and he looks great. And then the weather plays a factor, rain delay. He doesn't come back out to finish the game. Phillies lose that game.
God.
Then he comes out, oh, yeah, what are you looking at?
Oh, no, he hasn't. So he really hasn't been that bad in his last 5 starts. He went 8 2/3 against Atlanta. He pitched 6 against the Pirates, and they had to pull him because they had 2 runs on the board. He pitched 5 against the Nationals. We won 7-6. Then the Dodgers game, and then he got roped against Cincinnati.
How many you give up against Pirates, though? Forget we had 2 runs. How many you give up against Pirates?
I think he gave up all 3. I just exited that. I'm pretty sure he gave up all 3.
Regardless, it's a lack of confidence. It's a lack of so much from what I'm seeing from him on the mound, especially at Citizens Bank Park, which like a couple weeks ago, it was okay. Aaron Nola on the road, we kind of understand what we're getting ourselves into. But Aaron Nola Day at Citizens Bank Park, the whole team plays better at home. He's got to be lights out. And he just hasn't been. And in his last 2 or 3 starts, before the Dodgers start, then he was great for 4 innings or so against the Dodgers. And then last start against the Reds yesterday. Again, he's like not even relying on his fastball whatsoever. I forget what the percentages were, but he threw so many more curveballs and breaking balls than he did his fastball yesterday.
Yeah.
And there's one more thing. He can't put guys away. They were literally talking about it on the broadcast.
Yeah.
How bad he has been with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. What does he do that same inning? 2 outs, runners in scoring position, 2 strikes on a guy, boom, double. 2 outs, runners in scoring position, 1-2 count, boom, double. I think he gave up like 3 or 4 runs that inning with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. He can't put guys away. He's not relying on his fastball. He doesn't look confident. He's not going deep into games for you. He's got like a 5-something ERA. He has been awful. He's just been so inconsistent. And for a team that wants to make a pennant run, that can't happen. For every stellar start, you can't get 3 or 4 bad starts from your number 2 guy if you're trying to make the playoffs. It cannot happen. It won't work.
Yeah, I agree. And when we were at the deadline, you and I were doing the show, we alluded to the fact that we had 2 starters. If we were to make a run and get into the postseason, have a postseason series, that we had 2 legit starters, and it has looked less and less to that.
I'm being serious when I say this. I trust Kyle Gibson right now more than I trust Aaron Nola.
I'd probably be on that wavelength too. I think,
and so. that shouldn't be a case. That shouldn't be the case.
And that was kind of what I was getting to, which was it was supposed to be a third with those guys, not we lose him and have to fill his void. That was definitely what we looked for. But it is a momentum sport, and hopefully he gets out of the Furcon train of 1 in every 5. Maybe he can turn this thing around a little bit because, like you said, I still think this team can win the division.
I think they're going to. I think point blank. I think that the Braves schedule. I think the Mets are done. The Mets are cooked. Sorry, George Ryder, your favorite team's cooked.
Yeah, man. He's supposed to be upset.
But the Braves have a pretty difficult schedule coming up. I know they have the Yankees, then they have the Dodgers soon. They have a rough schedule. The Phillies, on the other hand, so since sweeping the Mets and taking first place in the NL East, they lost 2-3 to the Dodgers at home, which I kind of think we expected. We were just hoping they didn't get swept. But then when you had Wheeler, Moore, Nola on the mound at home against the Reds, we kind of figured 2 of 3. They lose the Wheeler and Nola starts and win the Matt Moore start, in which he threw a no-no through 6. So I don't know what's going on with this team. Some weird juju's going on. They have an off day today. They head to Arizona tomorrow. But the schedule coming up, again, I don't have it in front of me in order. I know Tampa Bay's in there somewhere. I know the Padres are in there somewhere. Dude, they play the Diamondbacks on the road for 3. Then in like 2 or 3 series, the Diamondbacks come here for 4 games. They play the Marlins for 3. They play the Nationals for 3 or 4. Then in September, they have the Pirates and Orioles for 7 straight or something like that. The schedule, like, that's a division, securing schedule right there. And also, I threw the Padres out there. The Padres are full. They're grabbing Jake Arrieta off his couch.
I hate Jake Arrieta.
Should someone tell them?
He stinks.
Yeah. Does someone want to give them a warning?
I've never heard someone say "I'm back" so many times in such a small state in a city. He was back 10 times. He was back more than Jordan Matthews was back.
I do have some questions for you though about this Phillies team because, like we said, we both are hopeful and we both even think that they're still going to win this division. They're 1 game out in the middle of August with an easy schedule remaining. The Braves, not so much. They're also going to get healthy. Zach Eflin should be back soon. Reese should be back soon. Freddie Galvis, who they acquired at the trade deadline, is making his way back. So let's start there again. When Freddie comes back, because we know defense has been such a thorn in this team's side, it's actually cost them baseball games this year. And I'll get to the guy to Didi's left in a minute. But when Freddie comes back, do you plug him in for Didi?
Dude,
I love Didi Gregorius. And I love the idea of him. I love his upper tank home runs over the right field wall when he's hot. Dude, he's batting like 216.
I was really just going to look that up because I saw it at 218 at one point. I was like,
what is it now?
At 219 now.
He's at 219. How many home runs does he have? Because he's not really
10 home runs.
He's not hitting for power. He's not hitting for anything, and he's a liability at shortstop.
Yeah.
Do you play Freddie Galvis at shortstop when he's back? And have Didi off the bench and a fill-in guy with his bat?
Let me phrase this question. Are you asking me or are you asking Joe Girardi?
I'm asking you.
Because Joe Girardi and Didi have to be like this.
Yeah. I'm asking you.
I don't think I'd plug Freddie in. I don't think I would.
No?
I don't think so.
I don't think I would either right off the bat. But
now you talk middle of September and he's down to 210, might be a different story.
But for the liability that he's been, don't get me wrong, sometimes Didi makes a hell of a play at shortstop and turns a double play or makes a diving grab, whatever the case may be. He's got a rock of an arm. We all know that. But he's quite literally played a role in costing them a game in the field with his glove and his arm. And the bat isn't there. There's some guys where you can feel their confidence. There's some guys you can feel their momentum. I'm not even going to say Bryce when Bryce is hot because that's an obvious one, but like Reese, Kutch when he's hot, Gene, you can feel when they step in the batter's box and you're watching at home or you're there, you're confident with them up there. I'm not confident with Didi. He strikes out a ton, and every time he gets up there, I feel like it's a swing and a whiff now. And like you said, he's batting 219 with 10 dingers. So liability in the field, not hitting for power, not hitting at all. He can't really be in the middle of your lineup. So what you lose, you would think, okay, well, I'm plugging in Freddie Galvis and I'm for the field, but then I'm losing a ton in the batter's box. You're not. Freddie Galvis is going to get hit better than 219. He's going to hit a dinger out every 7 games, 6 games. Like, that's just the fact. Now, let's go to the left. A fan favorite, it seems like he's become. I'm not off the Alec Boehm train. The kid's super young. If he can put it together, he just seems lost up here, and it's translating to the field. Dude, you talk about a liability in the field. It's not just third base. He can't play first base either. So he is a liability defensively.
Did you see that video of him just
warming up? Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
I legitimately felt bad.
But
I legitimately felt bad.
In his place has kind of stepped in to be a fan favorite.
Yeah,
in Ronald Torreyes.
Awesome, man.
What do you do? Same question.
I think I roll with Ronald Torreyes.
You have to. I'm sorry, you have to.
No, I think you have to.
Because I just brought up with the Freddie Galvis and DD thing, like what you lose in the field compared to what you lose in the batter's box with a bat, right? I look at it here with these two. Now Torreyes can still hit. He puts one out every so many games. He hits for contact. He's a pretty damn clutch hitter, it seems like. He can still hit, so you're not losing a ton. But what you lose in the batter's box from Alec Boehm's bat to Torreyes' bat is nothing. It's microscopic to what you gain in the field with Torreyes' glove compared to Alec Boehm's glove. I think that's a move. Listen, Alec Boehm is super young, and for a team that's probably, I know we're saying they're going to win the division, but for a team that's probably not at title contention right now, you wouldn't think about replacing a young, promising bat like Alec Boehm with, a veteran, whatever utility player in Ronald Torreyes. I'm doing it. If you want to win this pennant, you have to do that because not just Alec Boehm or Didi, they're next to each other in the infield. And Reese, listen, when Reese comes back, we put him back. But Reese isn't good at first base either. He's not great at first base. And Bamboo Brad is awful in the field too. So you need something. I think you have enough in this lineup to where you can sacrifice a little bit of power for more contact hitters that are better in the field. I would honestly start Ronald Torreyes and Freddie Galvis for their defense at third base and shortstop and just deal with them at the bottom of my lineup. They're going to have a better average than DD. And right now, what's Alec Boehm's average right now? It can't be anything great. And he's not really hitting for power either. So what you lose compared to what you gain defensively and offensively, I think they just outweigh each other. I would probably start Freddie and Torreyes.
Yeah, Boehm's batting 251, so it's still not the craziest.
It's not great. It's not awful. It's not
especially with that gap of in the field. It's a huge, huge, huge difference. So,
all right, one last question for who would you rather, we'll call it. Who's your everyday center fielder? I know who mine is, and he's not a fan favorite. I'm not a fan of him.
I'm going to say Odubel.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Jankowski was fun for a little bit. He's a liability in the batter's box, and he's not great in the field. It's not one of the cases where, okay, well, Odubel makes a lot of mistakes in the field and Jankowski's stellar in the field. No, they're both mediocre and make mistakes in center field, but Odubel's going to hit much better and for more power than Jankowski. So that's the last
I think Odubel was the easiest answer out of all those.
Yeah.
Definitely, because it sucks the whole Boehm thing, to be honest. Like the whole Boehm and Spencer Howard thing was such a cool thing last year. We were in the studio during. We were like, oh my god, these two,
yep,
we are both
making their way out, making their rounds out.
Yeah.
Last thing, Sir Anthony Dominguez seems like he's making his way back from injury. From what do you have, Tommy John, I believe, right? If he gets back up here, I would automatically have a role for him. With this bullpen?
Yeah, I think you have to. But it's got to be a short leash thing.
Oh, for sure.
People come back from Tommy John and look like a completely different person. So
for sure.
You're right. He probably immediately gets a role. I think so. I'll tell you who doesn't get a role in baseball ever again. Who do you think I'm going to say?
Who?
Matt Moore better never be employed in the Major League Baseball ever again.
Matty No?
No, yeah. Yeah. Dude, that Dodgers game when Boehm was untouchable, it was 4-0 in the blink of an eye. I stayed up the whole time. It's late. I had work the next day. I was like, I want to see the end of this game. I want bonk, 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 bonk. I was like, dude, this dude is terrible. I can't stand him.
And then he threw 6 hitless against the Reds. Scoreless.
Yeah, I understand that. But unemployed after this season.
Listen, we're getting off the Phillies in just a second. We're going to wrap up with Sixers Summer League. But I do question what goes on in Joe Girardi's head sometimes. As a
Dude,
manager.
6 innings of no-hit baseball, he got pulled.
Not just that, Gint. He let him bat. He moved the runner over, and then he pulled him the bottom half of the inning. It's what happened with Zach Eflin, except this time you didn't lose the game. Like, it makes me just question. Like
that
Joe,
Matt Moore thing completely slipped my mind that he threw the no-hit baseball, because the only thing I could think of was Nola's 4 innings that got rained out.
Like Joe, like it's just a question. Like I would have asked, like you had to ask that question. Like, okay, so I'm sitting here. I forget what the score was, 2-0, 3-0, whatever it is. Bottom of the 6th or whatever. Matt Moore's got a no. He only threw like 70-some pitches, I believe, or 68 pitches, something like that. I'm going to let him bat and bunt, and then I'm going to bring in Hector Neris in the top of the 7th. I believe that's who it was, Hector Neris. Look, what's the mindset there? What's the idea there? I'm going to let him bat, but he's not going to pitch the top of the next inning. Holy shit.
It's really inexcusable, like, to be honest with you. So, did he give a reason? He had to be asked.
Listen, I don't know if he was asked. I don't know what his reason was.
If he didn't get asked that question, every reporter should be fired.
Listen, he should have pulled him regardless because he had 6 hitless innings scoreless with 2 walks, I believe. Okay? And he only threw 70-some pitches. I get it. If you're like, I might have done the same thing maybe because we know what Matt Moore is and what that can turn into real quick. But if that's the mentality, holy shit, I got 6 hitless, scoreless innings out of Matt Moore. Let me get him out of there. Well, in the bottom of the 6th, he's not on the on-deck circle, Joe. The man just makes me scratch my head. Another just question mark in a pennant run. When's Joe Girardi getting in the way, guys? Because it's coming soon. Dumb Joe's coming out to play soon.
It seems like it. Like, that's inexcusable, like you mentioned. So,
especially when the very exact thing cost you a game earlier in the year with the Zach Eflin and in the Mets game. He did the same thing and they lost the game. So his idea is to do it again? Holy hell. All right, moving on. Last segment of today's show. We hit 3 for 3 Philly sports today. Obviously, the Flyers are not in effect right now. But some 76ers talk. 76ers Summer League. Obviously, Tyrese Maxey will no longer participate in the Summer League. However, the 3-headed young core monster that for the Sixers Summer League team, Tyrese Maxey, Isaiah Joe, and B-Ball Paul Reed, have absolutely dominated the Summer League so far. Obviously, like I said, Maxey's done. But B-Ball Paul last night, Gint, they lost. But what are your thoughts? Like, I'm not just saying, well, how do you look? Because obviously, what he dropped, 27, 20,
24,
4 and 4. Yeah, like obviously we know what those numbers, they're 2K numbers, okay? How does it equate, or does it equate to the big league?
I think Paul Reed's going to be able to play in the NBA at some point. I don't know if it's this year because of the Andre Drummond signing.
That's true.
Now, there's a lot
stretch 4. Oh, wait, but you signed Niang, too.
Signed Georges Niang. So, and in terms of shooting the ball, Niang shoots it much better than Paul Reed, obviously. So,
yeah, so he's not your ideal stretch 4.
Yeah, but I think he will play. He'll be an NBA guy. I mean, he won the G League MVP. He looks too good to play in the Summer League at this point. I mean, so does Maxey, to be honest with you. So both of them look like extremely mature. They look to be outclassing these other guys, which is what you hope for. Reed was a late second-round pick, so that's kind of a diamond in the rough. But you definitely hope for that out of Maxey, which he did. He's obviously done in the Summer League. I believe he's going to that camp, I think he's some type of camp. He's running a camp or something.
Oh, yeah, him and his dad or some shit.
Yeah, so he's done. And then Isaiah Joe, which, I mean, these are the 3 guys you drafted last year. And right now it looks like a contributing class eventually. I don't know when Joe will get time, just because if you look at like who we have on the wings right now, you have Danny Green, Seth Curry, Matisse Thybulle. Maxey's going to be in front of him in every rotation.
You want to know what almost just made me throw up in my mouth?
Korkmaz.
I forgot for a second. I was going to say, oh, like you don't think he can fill that Korkmaz role? And then I remembered, oh, Korkmaz is filling that Korkmaz role because they brought him back again.
Yeah, so I think Reed will definitely – again, it's going to be tough this year We'll see next year. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible. Again, don't get me wrong. He might be able to challenge Drummond for some minutes if he continues to be this good. Like 27 and 20 is 2K numbers, but for now, it's going to be tough to see him hit the floor. But the year after, maybe if Drummond signs 1 year and then plays well this year and another team offers him some more money to go somewhere else, maybe you can see him be a backup type center for Embiid. It gives you a much different look, or not a much different look. He's definitely an athletic big guy, which Embiid kind of poses that same picture. So who knows? Maybe this year as well.
All right. I mean, I haven't watched much of the summer league. I tried to watch a little bit of it, but it just doesn't get me excited. Like some people are chewing it, like eating that shit up right now. And I know they're excited for the Sixers and this young core, but it doesn't get me excited. But just hearing and seeing highlights and seeing the numbers of how these three have played against, NBA level talent. It's not the NBA, but it's NBA level talent. There's some guys, there's rookie classes, second year guys that other teams are throwing out there. Obviously Tyrese Maxey is going to be the guy that is contributing to the Sixers this year. He already did it last year and in the playoffs. It's about the other two right now for me. I agree with you. Obviously, B-Ball Paul it's weird, man. Yeah, I was going to say I feel like B-Ball Paul's the more ready one, but I feel like Joe would have more of a fit. Like you're looking for a role for Isaiah Joe, and you don't necessarily have one for Paul Reed. But with Korkmaz being back, there isn't really a fit for Isaiah Joe. But it's interesting because we know how Doc is with rookies, right? Like Maxey was like a diamond in the rough. Like you weren't expecting Paul Reed and Isaiah Joe to get run or play over Korkmaz when they should have, or play over, Dwight if he should have, because Doc's like that with rookies. They're not rookies anymore. So I don't know. Maybe he looks at them differently. What are you smirking about?
Let me ask you this. Because trade happened yesterday. Rondo and Pat Beverly went
Jesus Christ.
And Bledsoe went to the Clippers. And Rondo got bought out immediately, I'm pretty sure. From the reports I saw.
I think so.
Would you entertain Rajon Rondo?
Yeah. Would you?
I think the Ben thing depends a lot on if I would.
But you don't think you could help Ben, even if Ben's on the roster?
Well, if you sign Rondo, I don't think Maxey touched the floor. Unless Maxey plays in front of Rondo, which, to be honest, in terms of – it would be a really weird battle between those two because Maxey's probably getting to be more productive than Rondo would be on the court. But I don't think you sign Rajon Rondo to be Udonis Haslem at this point. Yeah. I don't think –
I was just saying because, like, he obviously the chemistry with Doc, but then being that point guard who earlier in the year, Rondo couldn't shoot and didn't shoot from the outside, really. He was all float in the paint, around the rim, floater type shit. If that fit would work well, if the Sixers keep Ben Simmons, I don't know. I would definitely entertain it. Again, that spot just becomes a lot more crowded. And you said, what do you do? Because obviously people are going to be clamoring for Maxey, but like you said, you're not just going to sign Rajon Rondo for no reason to ride the pine.
Yeah, and I don't think Rondo would even sign here if we gave him the layout of, you're a third string point. Like he was kind of that in LA. Reggie Jackson ended up starting to get a lot of minutes. Pat Beverly was still playing, and he kind of got pushed off to the side. So I don't really know how much Pat Beverly would want to – I mean, not Pat Beverly, sorry. Rondo would want to be a third-string point guard. So
is the trade, weird to you?
No, not at all. I think Bledsoe has a lot left in the tank that both those guys do. I think they're moving on from the stigma of having these point guards that can't score next to Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. You saw how effective Reggie Jackson was in the playoffs. A lot of people thought he wouldn't have been in LA because of how much money he was going to get. And Bledsoe is just a far better – I shouldn't say far better. Better scorer.
More of a scoring threat, yeah.
And he still brings just as much to – also shouldn't have said just as much defensively as Pat Beverly. He's still a tenacious defender. He plays really well on the ball. So I think it was a really good move for the Clippers. And I don't know how much Rondo and Pat Beverly wanted to be there with Reggie Jackson probably clearly becoming the starting point guard.
That's true.
Terrence Mann,
yeah.
Being a guard in that system looks really good. And Kawhi Leonard and Paul George take on a lot of the on-ball responsibilities there. So
very true. And I think obviously some of it had to do with contracts and cap and stuff as well for Memphis. But all right. That's going to wrap up today's episode of the Phaithful Phanatics Show. I'm your host, Dylan, my co-host, Matt McGinty. But before we go, some housekeeping for all you guys out there. Guys, tap in to DSM Media. Follow us on Twitter at DSM_media. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you want tickets to the Eagles-Patriots preseason game on Thursday night, follow us on Twitter at DSM_media. Retweet the tweet and comment #FlyEaglesFly to be entered for a chance to win 2 tickets to Thursday night's game, Eagles versus Patriots, section 117, I believe. Bless you, Gint. And we will be going live tomorrow night around 8:30 to do a live drawing of and select the winner of that raffle and then give out the tickets to that winner. So tap into DSM Media for that. Also, this upcoming Sunday, August 22nd, 4 p.m. at the Link, live tailgate and live show for DSM Media before the Eagles' second open practice. Guys, come out. Kenwood Beer is giving us a bunch of free beer for it to sponsor the tailgate. We have pizza and food from Phil's Pizza Shop. We're doing a live show. Come join it. Get interviewed. Hang out with us. And also, if you subscribe to DSM Media on YouTube and or follow us on Twitter, you will be entered to a raffle to win a Devontae Smith Eagles jersey. Gint is working on getting the black Eagles jersey. It might be green. Time will tell. But guys, thank you so much.
Green, sadly. But
thank you so much for tapping in. As always, I'm Dylan. That's Gint. Have a nice night.